Hello, good evening. Welcome to the 3166, 3168 joint fall beat meeting of 2021. My name is Sergeant Jewell. I am the sergeant in charge of beat 3168, which encompasses most of the north side of Randhurst, and 3166 encompasses the other part of the north side along with 3170. So, again, my name is Sergeant Jewell. I'm going to introduce my commander, and we have two presentations, short presentations for you guys today. One is by Officer Bechtold, and the other one is by Officer Moise. So let me introduce you to Commander Dante.
Good evening, I'm Commander Dante. I'm the afternoon shift watch commander. I'm just here this evening if you have any questions for me or if there's any resources that I could provide for you as residents of 3166 or 3168. Many of you in 3166 probably know who I am because we've recently had a meeting referencing the issues in the downtown area. So I'm always happy to help any way I can.
So the two presentations will be done one by Officer Bechtold in just 1 minute. Afterwards, we'll have time for questions and answers. You should be able to type or chat any questions that you have, which you can do at any time, I believe. Hopefully it works out okay, but we'll get to the questions at the end of the presentations if you have any. For now, I'll introduce you to Officer Mark Bechtold.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Jewell, for the introduction. So yes, my name is Mark Bechtold. Grew up in Mount Prospect, been doing this job for 24 years, and my beat is 3166 near downtown. And that's actually the area where I grew up, so very passionate about 3166. And as well as the whole north side is an area that I've worked throughout my entire career. What we're going to talk about tonight are some principles that really can be useful to all of you for multiple different types of crimes, but specifically we're going to hit on burglary to auto prevention and residential burglary prevention. So we'll be touching on some of those principles, just things that you can practically put into practice that will help you be a soft target, because really that's what I'm looking for here. One thing that I tell my children, and if they were here, they could recite it right along with me, that I tell them all the time since they were little, is to keep your head on a swivel. And the same principle applies to us as adults. And it's something that no matter what your situation, you want to be aware of the circumstances around you, where you are, and who else is around you. So some of those principles we're going to talk about tonight is to keep your head on a swivel. And second principle before I get started is with the practical side of it. Second principle is to make yourself a hard target. That's something that really is helpful in life, is to not be a soft target, not to be easy prey, but to really do your best to make yourself a hard target so that someone that is looking to victimize you will end up going somewhere else. Now, you don't want them to victimize your neighbor, but you also do your best to protect yourself. And some of these principles we'll touch on tonight will help you in doing that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is burglaries to auto. Working the day shift, I handle a lot of those reports because a lot of them tend to happen overnights. And so during the day, I handle a lot of those and see a lot of common traits in the types of things that are taken, some of the things that maybe could have been done to prevent the crime. And so that's what we're going to touch on. First thing I want to say is to be intentional where you park. Now, this might apply to maybe a burglary to an automobile in a parking lot. If you're going to Randhurst Mall or Mount Prospect Plaza and you park your vehicle there, is to really be intentional where you park. When I go on vacation with my kids, I don't park closest to the hotel. If we go there, I like to park where the big light is, and so that my car overnight is illuminated, because bad guys don't like light. And so by doing that, I am able to, have constant protection over my vehicle. So I would say the same thing to you. It might mean walking a little bit more, but park somewhere in a parking lot that's illuminated, so that the bad guys maybe will try and avoid your vehicle because they don't want to be seen. Second principle with trying to avoid having your car broken into is know where to leave valuables. Now, the obvious place would be at home. So try not to drive around with a bunch of valuables in your vehicle. But if you do need to, if you're coming from work and maybe you have your laptop or something like that, the place to leave that would be in your trunk. And I would recommend, even along those lines, is before you get to a parking lot you're going to, don't put it in the trunk in the parking lot, so that if someone is scouting out looking maybe to steal that laptop, that they're not watching you get out of the car, take it out and put it in the trunk. But that it's something that you do ahead of time before you get to where your destination is, and you put it in the trunk ahead of time, so that that's going to be the safest place that you want it. Do not leave any valuables in plain view. Some of these principles are going to sound very obvious, but I will tell you the amount of times we handle these things and these obvious principles are not followed. So I don't mean to insult your intelligence with some of these, but please do this to protect yourself. Don't keep your valuables in plain view. Oftentimes, valuables will be just left on a back seat. It might be a laptop, might be an iPad, might be money, might be, clothes that are just brought from the dry cleaners that someone might steal. So any of these items, don't leave them where people can see them, because that's just you're making yourself an easy target. So put that stuff away. And I discourage you from putting it in the center console or in the glove box, because those are the first places that bad guys are going to be looking, because they're looking to get something quick, and they know that that's where people stash either identification, a wallet, or where they might have money. So don't put them in your center console or your glove box, but if you can, keep it in the trunk. Even better if you can keep it at home. Lock your doors. Lock your doors. Most of these crimes that we get of cars being broken into are from unlocked vehicles. Most bad guys aren't looking to really struggle and take a pry bar and open up a vehicle, or take a rock and throw it through a window. They're not looking to make that much noise. They're looking for something quick that they can steal. And the best way they can do that is just trying door handles. They'll do it in a parking lot. They'll do it if a car is parked in the driveway or on the street. They'll just try door handles. So much of this could be avoided if you would just lock your vehicle, because then they'll go next door and they'll try that vehicle if yours is locked. I'd say 9 out of 10 times that is going to prevent a car being broken into. So lock your doors, make it a habit, make yourself that hard target. Another thing is to know your vehicle. If worst case scenario, your car does get stolen, if the keys get left in there, someone gets the key fob, someone steals your vehicle, know what your car is. Know the make and model of your car. Know what color it is. Know your license plate. So many people don't even know their own license plate, and especially when it's pressure time, you might forget those things. So take a picture, keep it in your phone so you have that information for yourself. But know that information, because seconds matter when it comes to an automobile being stolen to help us in our investigation. So know that information if something does happen. And then finally, when it comes to an automobile, be aware of your surroundings. This is mostly applies to in a parking lot situation, but know if when you get out of your car, you don't just have tunnel vision to get to that business, that restaurant you're looking to go to, but that you're looking around. You take a second to look around, see if there's people around watching. If there's someone maybe just in their car, the car is not running, but they might just be watching and scouting. Maybe it's something to pay attention to. Not that everyone's a criminal, but maybe it's something to keep in mind, or you just want to maybe jot down a license plate of a vehicle that's suspicious. If you see kids that are maybe going around with a skateboard or a scooter down the parking lot, maybe they're scouting out for someone else. So just things to be aware of. when you get out, and so that head on a swivel mentality when you go into where you're going to go. So those are the principles that when it comes to burglary prevention with your automobile. And many of those same things apply when it comes to your home. A few different ones that I'm going to touch on here is that are a little different, but is to, number one, look like you are at home when you're not at home. So how do we do that? Well, I know burglars, for one, they know that the penalty for breaking into a home where someone is there is far greater than if they were to break into a home that nobody is there. They're not looking, for the most part, to have any kind of contact with anybody. So you want to do your part when you're not home to make it look like someone is there. Simplest thing you can do is leave lights on. LED bulbs make it so cheap to do this. They don't burn much electricity, but to leave lights on, put them on timers so they go on and off in random times. Leave a TV on, leave music on, a radio on, because these are things burglars are looking for. When they go up, they want to listen to see, is anyone home? And those things are all going to help to make yourself a hard target instead of the easy target that we want to avoid. And then have your property maintained while you're gone. So if you go out of town for a week and maybe it snows, well, you don't want to be that one house in the neighborhood that has the sidewalks and the driveway are covered with snow, because it's an obvious indicator that you're not home. And burglars look out for that stuff. So, just have someone come by, check your walks, bring in the newspapers, bring in the mail, doing things like that. You can contact the post office ahead of time, have them stop your mail for a certain period of time. But all these things make it appear like someone's home, even though you may not be. Another thing, don't advertise you're gone. I know the temptation is you're getting ready for a Disney trip, or you're going to California, or going somewhere, you want to share that over social media and let everybody know. Well, the problem is everyone on social media is not necessarily a close friend, and they might know someone, and that they could plant that bug in someone's ear that you are not going to be home for a week. And so that's not something you want to advertise. So if you are going to be doing that, it's good to have someone stay at the home or someone be there so that it's just not a vacant home publicly proclaimed for that next week. Yeah, another thing you could do is you can contact the police department to have a vacation watch. And you can do this yourself through the Mount Prospect website, the police department website. You can go on there and there's a place you can check, and you can put in your information for when you'll be out of town. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have a personal police officer sitting in your driveway. But what it does is it gives the officers that work the beat where you live the knowledge that you're not going to be around. So those officers we might take an extra drive or two throughout our shift down your block to check things, to shine a spotlight, to make sure everything looks okay. We'll know what vehicles are supposed to be there or not. So that's another option you can do. And like I said, you can do that through the village website. And then the final thing I would say is to secure your home. Do everything in your power to make your home a fortress. Deadbolts, things like that are so important to have on your doors. And when they come with these deadbolt kits, they come with these tiny little screws. But what I'd say is 2.5-inch, 3-inch screws. You get those because they go into the stud of the door, and that makes a world of difference with someone trying to force entry. Those little baby screws, someone can force through that deadbolt, and it wouldn't be that difficult. So get some longer screws, put that in there. That's going to help. Locking your windows, trimming your bushes back. That might sound strange, but again, burglars don't want to be seen. And if you have tall bushes around your windows, around your doors, that's a great place for them to hide out and have the opportunity to work on gaining access to your home. So trim those bushes down so if someone's there, they can be seen from the street or by your neighbors if it's around windows and doors. Illuminate your property, just like inside, but you can do that on the outside. It's even more important on the outside to have lights. Motion sensor lights are great. These LED lights, again, they cost very little and they last a long time. And it's just going to light up your place. And it's just that one thing that might startle someone looking to break into your house, and they might just move on because of that extra step of having a lot of light. So more expensive options, you can get an alarm system, you can get cameras. And if you do these things, they're wonderful to have, but advertise it. Tell everyone to have signs all over your house and that, because it's really, that's again, that deterrent. Someone goes up there, sees those signs, looks and see that there is in fact an alarm, there is cameras, they're gonna move on because they don't want to deal with the chance of getting caught with those things in place. And then a final option you can do with securing your home is to contact our crime prevention unit. You can do that through the website, or you can contact the non-emergency number here and ask to talk to Officer Friendly or the crime prevention unit. And what they can do is they can set up a security survey with you for your home, where you come out, we do a walkthrough, have a checklist, we tell you what you're doing right, the things that are good about the security of your home, and then we talk to you about some things that you can improve on that might help. There's no obligation beyond that or anything. We're not selling you anything. It's just a service that we provide to be able to help you to secure your home. So ultimately what we're doing is we're forcing the burglar to choose an easier target. And that's what we're doing with the vehicle, and that's what we're doing with your home. So just to summarize this, remember to keep your head on a swivel at all times. Try and view your vehicle, try and view your home through the eyes of a burglar and what they would be looking for. And then that opens up your eyes to see just maybe some of the weaknesses, some of the gaps in security in your vehicle, in your home. And ultimately, if I can leave you with this, just to remember that your goal in all of this is to be that hard target, to not be easy prey, but to not fall victim to someone that's trying to do harm to you or harm to any of your property. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you. And again, my name is Mark Bechtold. And if you have any more questions, or if you just would like to talk some more about this, about your own property, you can feel free to reach out for me here at the police department, and I will gladly help you answer any questions I can, so that we can help you be a hard target. All right. All right, we're waiting on questions. All right, if anybody has any comments or questions that they would like to ask now, feel free to do that, and then give you folks an opportunity to do that. So we'll just wait a minute here while that goes on. It seems like there are no questions. So then at this point, I'll turn it back over to Sergeant Jewell. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, I'd like to introduce an officer for 3168. It's Officer Martinowitz. If you want to sit down and just introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Officer Martinovich. I work 3168. I'm off in a cover car for the north side. I've been on for 3.5 years, and I'm looking to do as many things as possible, and I enjoy getting out and talking to the community. So if you ever see me, I'm probably going to wave to you, but if I don't, wave to me and I'll wave back.
Yeah, our next presentation is it's a very special treat by Officer Moise. He is going to hopefully get in remotely. There he is.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right.
I'll give it all off to you. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Officer Brian Mose from Police Department here. Been on 18 years, and I pretty much spent all my time in the 3 beats on the north side, 66, 68, and 70. So I've got a real good feel for all the years for what's been going on around there. And today I'm going to talk about some of the current crimes that have been going on as a reminder, some of the continuing crimes that we seem to have around here. I'm going to give you guys a couple of websites too, with some information. So if you have pen and paper handy, what I'll do is when I do mention something I want you to write down, I'll type it in the chat so that we can, you guys can type it then or copy it down at your leisure. So I'll start off the first hottest one we have right now are catalytic converter thefts. The catalytic converter, it's the emission exhaust, for a cleaner world. Those are filled with precious metals that help do its job. And right now, it is by far #1 problem. The most commonly stolen ones are electric vehicles, specifically a Prius, but electric vehicles seem to be the #1 most targeted thing. The second, which would make sense, is trucks, anything high off the ground that they can get to very easily. So if anybody that parks vehicles outside, be very mindful and careful. Officer Bechtold did a great job telling you how to keep things safe around your house. Burglars hate lighting, so if you park your car outside, motion lights are the best because it catches them by surprise and they'll scramble. But just keep stuff well lit if you park your cars outside. You can lock your doors, but it's hard to keep a tab on your catalytic converter. So please be careful and aware of that one. Maybe the second one is kind of new. The 68 beat that I'm currently assigned to encompasses Prospect High School. They went to an open campus this year. We've had some problems with the kids walking around, and even when they're driving to places. Just please be careful and mindful when you're around there, and don't hesitate to call us if you see or want us to know about something, because we may be in the area already, even if it's happening fast, like kids throwing trash out the window. But if you can, just keep an eye out for all these kids. They'll walk down Kensington Road, and go to lunch. They'll eat at all the places over like McDonald's and Chipotle. And then weather has been really nice lately. We've been very blessed with that. And so even today, they were out and walking all over the place there. So if you're ever in the area, you'll know what's going on, and keep an eye on them. Because, they still are kids, but they got to watch their manners. We also talked about some of the seasonal crimes. When you're here a long time, you see a lot of stuff come and go, and some types of crimes come back. But right now, we're in obviously the Christmas season. Sergeant Jewell at the very beginning Commander Dante talked about the downtown area here, where we're having some problems with the kids hanging out. Well, since school started, that has pretty much dropped off. But, there's weekends, there's Fridays and Saturdays. And so that still may happen, but that's kind of a seasonal thing. As the weather gets colder, you're probably not going to see those kids out there until it gets warmer out, and then next summer again. So that's one that's kind of died down on there. But one of the ones that'll be up is package thefts on your front porch. If you're ordering stuff, be very mindful of what's going on out there. We're all aware of porch pirates that are stealing this stuff. Do your best. If you can have a neighbor pick stuff up, we get a lot of alerts, when stuff has been delivered with the picture and stuff like that. If you get that, somebody can help out, a neighbor, family member, or something like that, as much as you can to reduce this type of a crime. That's a real good one there too. So, and then the other one that's kind of seasonal too goes along with the first one about the downtown. With the kids being in school and it being colder, they're not really out causing too much trouble, but there's still Fridays and Saturday nights when the kids are out, so just be mindful, and if you can, give us a call. Again, you don't have to leave your name, just call the police, keep yourself anonymous, just say, hey, I see something strange, or I hear something strange in the neighborhood, and we'll come check it out there. The other part of what you can do to keep up with this kind of stuff, newspapers, and a lot of them are online, of course, too. The real good one is the journal topics. You can click on the Mount Prospect edition, and you can see the police blotter there. And you can see what's going on, not only in the whole town, but you can focus on your own neighborhood there. So I highly recommend going to the journal. It does have a subscription, but you can still view police reports and the headlines for free. So you don't need to have the subscription to get that, to check that out. But the Mount Prospect Police and the Village of Mount Prospect, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and even Facebook has neighbor pages. You might be able to find a neighbor page that fits your area there, where people talk about things. And one of the more popular things is loose dogs. When dogs are loose, they might post on there, "Hey, we're looking for a dog that's lost," and it's nice to be on that kind of neighbor page. Just keep in mind that the neighbor page, though, is not an official one, monitored by the police department, and so that just operates a little bit differently than we wouldn't call it official. But it's real good if you want to keep up with stuff happening in real time. And of course, there's the village website. You could Google it, obviously, but it's mountprospect.org. I'll type that out there. It's all one word. It's all spelled out. Everything is online nowadays, and you have so much information there. And some of the big things on there, vacation watches, you're going to be out of town, or you just, for whatever reason, want us to keep an eye on your house. And if you have any specific details on what we should be looking for, whether it's like, kids running around the area, or maybe you've had a package stolen recently or something like that, you can go to the website there, put yourself down for a home watch, and it doesn't cost you anything. And the midnight shift officers, because usually, let's face it, crimes are happening most likely at night, they'll keep an eye on things for you there. So that's one of the great things. And the other thing, it's not official, but we supply information to cityprotect.com. I'll go ahead and type that in there too. Cityprotect.com. You can use that anywhere. It's cityprotect.com. So cityprotect.com is basically, it's a collection of information of calls that have been happening in the areas there. So you pick, the town, and you can, if you zoom in far enough to some of the dots, you can see a little eye, and it'll give you information of what kind of crimes have been happening there. And you can be aware of stuff that's happening in your neighborhood, and then if you can sleep well at night if you don't see anything happening recently on there. So it's kind of nice information. Again, it's unofficial. We have nothing to do with how often they post. For what I've been told, it's been most of the press release type stuff that is posted for the public, stuff you'll see in the journal. The company will populate that with that kind of stuff. So that's a real good one on there too. The last website is the State of Illinois government website. That's the real big one where you can see people in jail or people in your neighborhood that might be suspicious. So I'll type that one on here too. It's more of a bigger picture type thing, but at least you'll be aware of it. isp.illinois.gov. Feel free to check it out. There's a spot there for law enforcement. There's another drop down for citizens. You can click on the citizens, and you can see what kind of information on there. And go ahead and save the website if there's some things you want to keep on top of there. And last thing I'll say, I don't know how many people out there recognize me. I work the day shift, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I would venture, next to Mark Bechtold, I would venture, I get out of the car more than anybody here at the department and love talking to people. And maybe I wave more than Officer Martinovich, but I wave to everybody, and I like talking with everybody out there. So if you ever see me, I usually drive around a SWAT P10, flag me down, and we could have a chat about anything in your neighborhood. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions for me or even Officer Bechtold before that, go ahead and type it in the page there in the chat. We'll see what we can do for you. Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. Apparently the mute button was hit on there. So in closing, I'd like to thank Officer Bechtold again and Officer Moise for both their presentations. If you have any questions, you could type it in the chat right now. We'll stay on for a couple minutes. So go ahead and type any questions that you have right now. Okay, doesn't seem to be any questions. Again, my name is Sergeant Jewell. I work the afternoon shift, 2 to midnight, and I am the beat sergeant for 3168. Sergeant Angarola, who is not here, also works the 2 to midnight shift. He is the beat sergeant for 3166. Our commander for the time being is Commander Dante. He will be able to help you also. If you have any questions, you can reach us at the Mount Prospect Police Department. And Officer Bechtold and Officer Moise both work the day shift. If you need any assistance with them, feel free to reach out to them. Thank you for joining and have a good night. Thanks.